Welcome back. There is a live look outside from the Oregon coast. That's our Inn at Spanish Head Resort Hotel camera in Lincoln City. Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and as a neuroscientist, our next guest thinks it's more important than ever that we understand what's happening in our own brain. Here with more, we welcome back Dr. Nicole Tatro. It's so great to see you.
It's really nice to see you. Happy spring and happy Mental Health Awareness Month.
I love it all. So this is an important conversation because it does feel like we've come a long way in reducing stigma when it comes to talking about mental health, but it can still be really tough for people to raise their hand and say, hey, I might need some help over here.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to mental health and we think about it, when somebody has a broken leg, right? We know to have compassion, to open the door for them. It's very obvious that there's physical trauma. When mental health is coming on, people are experiencing it, it's a very huge challenge for people to be able to communicate what's actually going on because sometimes they don't even know. We may not even know we're struggling with mental health challenges until something hits us suddenly.
That makes a lot of sense. And can you tell me a little bit about your own experience in dealing with some anxieties?
Yeah, so anxiety affects, it affects a high number of people in the United States, about 30% of Americans. And in my own experience, I struggled with anxiety when I was in graduate school. It was situational, and I was having challenges with sleeping at night, challenges with incessant thoughts, with future worry. And what I really had to do is I had to learn life skills that changed the way that I interacted with feelings of anxiety to recognize the anxiety wasn't actually me. It was an experience that I was having.
Is that such a radical shift when you can frame it that way and say, yeah, this isn't me and my whole experience, it's part of my world?
Yes, and it exactly what you're saying. When you can identify, you could say, what are the things that are causing my anxiety? And once you can identify what the triggers are, and I recommend to a lot of people when this starts coming on, is being able to identify them and write them down. Because once you can write them down, you can actually see them. And there's an ability to recognize two things so that it's an experience and that there's a need that needs to be met underneath there. So when you can meet that need, then all of a sudden the anxiety kind of slowly floats away and it doesn't become the experience that you're actually in anymore.
Sure. And what about the power of emotional intelligence and asking the right questions sometimes?
Exactly. So when you can find the awareness to be able to ask yourself, what is the feeling under this emotion and what can I be able to do to take care of this? And emotional awareness and emotional regulation really focuses on the practices of self-regulation. So understanding your emotional need that needs to be met. Secondly, it's being able to manage your emotion in that moment. And then also it's about your social skills, the way that you interact with your emotions and others. And then finally, it's having that empathy and self-compassion for yourself. And then finally, the motivation where you're able to take action, the appropriate action to manage that emotion.
Yeah, that empathy always comes back as such an important component in so many aspects of our lives. So what about social connection and all this, and that as a potential healing opportunity?
Social connection, finding meaning and purpose are the key ways that get us out of our mental aloneness. Because social connection, when you can actually vocalize and communicate to other people that you're struggling from mental health challenges, that takes away that stigma. And all of a sudden, it's not a me thing and I'm so alone in this experience. It's an experience that you're sharing with others. And then the second piece of that is when you can find meaningful connection and engagement in life, that gives you purpose. And having purpose really helps us through mental health challenges.
Are there certain just simple practices we could put in place in our daily lives to get on a better path with all this stuff?
Well, first and foremost, we need to have sleep.
Mm.
Sleep is one of the easiest ways that we can regulate our emotional health. Most of the time, when we're struggling with mental health, we're exhausted and we need to rest and really take care of ourselves. You think about it like an animal who's injured in the woods. They don't go around and start hunting for food. They stop and pause and wait until they gain complete health. The other things we can do, and which I'm a huge proponent of, is meditation. And it doesn't have to be deep sitting down 15 minutes a day. It could be a meditative walk. It could be 3 deep breaths to help regulate your nervous system. And then the other things that really matter is that engagement and finding things that bring you joy in life. And when you could shift difficult emotional states with counterbalancing and wiring joy into your life, you can all of a sudden shift these stories that you have around difficult emotions and situations.
It's pretty incredible. Like you mentioned, sometimes you're in a really challenging situation and just taking a deep breath and giving yourself a really brief pause, you can have a totally different perspective and be much more successful tackling whatever challenge is facing you.
You're absolutely right. That 3 deep breaths is that way, that go-to regulate that nervous system and bring you into that calm and sense of peace. And it really balances neurochemicals right away.
That's so fascinating. Hey, it's always so nice to talk with you. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay, we will have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.